welcome to the Pau Torres podcast. I'm messing. But what we will be doing is putting a number at the bottom of the screen that you can call if we don't get Pau Torres, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that would potentially be very, very annoyed if we don't. But no, I've still got positive vibes on Pau Torres. But first of all, welcome to our show. If you are new, subscribe, hit subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. If you watch us regularly and you aren't subscribed, just hit that button because it just helps me out. You know, it helps the channel out. And if you are enjoying the content, then just help me out. You can hit a like. That will really help me out. Let's have a like target then of 500 on this video. Let's go quite big. Let's go 500. Hit that like. And then you'll do me a massive, massive favour. So welcome to Avfc Daily News, daily dose, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 doses of Villa news, depending on what's happening. But we've got some bits to talk about. We're going to start off with Europa Conference League. Aston Villa qualified for the Europa Conference League qualifier. Is it playoff qualifier? One of the two, isn't it? We're not in one, but we're in the other. So I think the playoffs are starting, and then the qualifier. Everybody has to play a qualifier. Doesn't matter who you are, seeded, unseeded, and then you get put into the group stage. It's very confusing how UEFA do these competitions and work them out and work the playoffs and work the seeds out. But currently, Aston Villa are unseeded, and we need a result to go in our favour to become seeded. But UEFA are likely to ban Juventus from European competitions this season. So, according to Gazzetta Italy, it is likely that UEFA will ban Juventus from the European competitions for one season. Juventus will not enter the Europa Conference League. Fiorentina will then enter the playoff round, and Aston Villa will move to be seeded on that side of the draw. So you can see the graphic here. Aston Villa are currently on the right, unseeded. We would be the next potential place to go into the seeded. With Juventus going out, Aston Villa become seeded. So, good news, I think. I think it's good news. If you had to ask me, am I bothered that we're not seeded? I would say no. So, really, it doesn't really make a difference to me because I would take playing anybody in this competition. But if it means our path may be potentially a lot smoother earlier on, then who's going to say no? But, you know, if we have a look at some of the teams that are on this right-hand side that we would now potentially be playing, you've got Legia Warsaw, Rosenborg, Vitoria, is it FC20, Besiktas? That'd be a tough one, wouldn't it? That'd be a really, really tough one. Apole Nicosia, recently been playing in the Champions League. Less we say about those, the better. We don't really want to be playing those, do we? For whatever happened all those years ago. You've got Lech Poznan, Osasuna. I've heard that they might be going out of it as well. But, yeah, I mean, there's some decent teams on the right-hand side, isn't there? Bruges, Basel, Panathinaikos, Ghent, Dynamo Kiev, Fenerbahce, Lille. So there are some actually decent Frankfurt. There's some decent teams in this competition. So that's a little bit of news on this competition. In another competition, I've got some other news. So I don't know whether some of you are aware, but the Champions League are going from 32 teams to, is it 36? So what that means is there's extra places up for grabs next Champions League. So I'm going to show you the thread. You guys can read the thread because I'm telling you, this is so confusing. So It's confusing, but there's only an extra 4 spaces. But it's really confusing. So I'll let you guys read it. Reading between the lines, if we go down to the bottom, England are currently at the top of UEFA's country ranking. So the extra space is going to go to the top team. So basically, in this current European system, if England finish out on top spot this season coming, the teams that qualify in the top 5 in the Premier League will get Champions League. So whoever finishes 5th this season will get Champions League. 6th and 7th will get Europa. 8th will get Conference. So I'll leave that one there. Top 5 potentially are going to be getting Champions League this season. So very, very interesting. And I guess it would alter Aston Villa's mindset going into the Premier League campaign, because we know Unai wants top Champions League. We know we still need to be getting into Europe. So I think that sort of little carrot on 5th is a stretch for Villa, but it's not as much as a stretch as 4th. So if England can get top spot in Europe next season, then the season after, top 5 Champions League. So that's some news, something to keep you all sort of engaged. And if you want to read that article, if you can make sense of it, then brilliant. But it's really, really confusing. In other news, marvellous Nakamba looks set to be joining Luton on a permanent transfer. That is absolutely fantastic stuff from Villa. He was instrumental for Luton in their system in the middle of the park. He had a really good season. What would you imagine the fee would be? 4 or 5 million, something like that, which doesn't sound a lot, but it would be cheeky little fee for Villa to get in, wouldn't it? So that is decent. So look out for Nakamba. I know that Sanson, he looks like he's going to be going back to the club that he was at last season as well. I want to sign him on a fee. So again, if we get a couple of mil for him, brilliant. Jedinak has joined Postecoglou's. Said it right. Postecoglou's coaching setup at Spurs. So he has left as our loan manager. So we wish Jedinak all the best in the future. And this is why you're here. Let's talk Pau Torres, the Pau Torres podcast. Welcome to the Pau Torres podcast. Let me get some quotes for you. Let me get this quote for you now. Where have I saved it? Basically, it is sort of reading along the lines of what I was mentioning yesterday. I know that Fabrizio Romano tweeted something that got the fan base a little bit twitchy. He did a tweet saying that Bayern Munich remain informed. So my understanding is, as long as they remain informed and don't move to monitoring, pursuing, those type of words, I am completely fine. Is it they've already agreed personal terms with the Napoli centre-back. So for Bayern Munich, their number one centre-back target is the Napoli centre-back. Personal terms have been agreed. For Bayern Munich to get the deal done, all they have to do is pay the release clause. So Pau Torres isn't Bayern Munich's number one first choice centre-back to come in anyway. So remaining informed tells me that they just want to know what's going on. They want to know what the situation is with him. So I would say that I think I'm all right, I think I'm all right. So the quote from yesterday was this one. And this was sort of off the back of the podcast that I quoted yesterday morning. Pau Torres did not consider Aston Villa among his first options, but Unai Emery's insistence and the good looks of the project have made him change his mind. Villa are in the lead to sign him. So I think he's coming to Villa. And I think what happens is, I think this might be a little bit more advanced than we think. I think we're negotiating with a fee now for Villarreal. I think potentially personal terms might be agreed. Because all this noise of he's chose Villa, he's done this, I think personal terms aren't the problem now. I think we're negotiating a fee. I hope that is what is happening. So there's no real change on the situation regarding Pau Torres. It's just that, yeah, we don't really know what is happening behind the scenes, do we? We're reading behind the lines of all of the rumours, aren't we? So I think we've just got to just sit patiently now, and hopefully Villa can get this deal done, because it would be absolutely massive for Villa. It's Min Jae Kim, who is the centre back that Bayern Munich are looking at as well. I think everybody in the comment sections are pretty much agreeing, which is pretty impressive in itself, that the Villa fan base are agreeing on Pau Torres. Again, we're getting quite a lot of questions about where does so-and-so play? Where does so-and-so play? I think we'll have to just go into more detail on that when he does arrive. But a little bit of news for you, a little bit of stuff for you to research and have a look at about Europe. Hopefully, we'll have another episode out later with some more transfer news, etc. But we've just got to sit tight and wait for it to happen. So, cheers, everybody. Up the Villa. Support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already.